Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? What you are about to witness is real.
This is not a dream, but a new beginning.
Stand by for uplink.
The Don Hanston Show, straight up.
Thank you.
GPS uplink now completed with Google Earth. Commencing the official countdown in 3, 2, 1.
And now your hosts, Don and Sal.
College. Very expensive these days. Do we really need it? We're going to discuss this in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us on Straight Up, the Don Hanston Show. Good morning, Don. How are we today?
Good morning, everybody. How is everybody today?
We have an interesting topic that actually came in. Somebody emailed us and wanted us to bring up this topic, and it's about college. Do kids these days really need college like they used to? And I'm going to start off by going about a Pew Research thing that said they're saying 43% now are saying that college is less important now than it used to be. It used to be at 57%. So there is a lot of research being done that's saying college just has the degree, and going to college just isn't having the full impact that it used to have. And I know me and you have some strong opinions on this, so that's why we're going to dedicate this whole show to whether or not are you wasting your money by sending your kids to college for the piece of paper, or are you giving them a head start to a better career in life? That's what we're going to talk about. Don, what say you?
You already gave the hint when you said the piece of paper, so everybody already knows where you're going. This is a subject. You said, could we talk for 30 minutes on this? I said I could probably talk for 7 days on this. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as schooling, this is all my opinion, so I'm not going to keep saying it's my opinion. They don't teach anything that actually helps people in life. Okay, it's more about indoctrination. Okay, it's more about collecting money,
Especially with a college, professor.
Yeah, and it's more about fitting people in, like a cog in the wheel. So here's where I go with it. So you make it through. Obviously, you need to make it through high school. You get to college, okay. You can choose to spend 4 years, 8 years, or 12 years in college, whatever you want to do. And what are you actually learning? Okay, how to drink, do drugs, screw, act like an asshole. I don't really know what you learned. I'll be honest with you.
Screw. You're such an old timer. We're so
Yeah.
old school. Screw.
Old. Yeah. Okay. So here's my thoughts on the whole thing. Okay. You spend let's say you spend 4 years in school. I don't even know what university costs, but let's just say with housing and everything else, let's just call it 100 G's, okay? 100 G's, okay? Now, I went in my own business and at 18 years old, 18 and a half years old, okay? The person went to school, maybe back then, maybe it was 50 grand, okay? Maybe it was 50 grand all in.
Yeah.
So they spent 4 years, right, not getting any skills, okay? And they come out of school with all this debt, right? And let's just say I made the 50 grand a year, okay? So they come out of school after 4 years. I'm 200 ahead. They're 200 behind or 400 behind the eight ball. Number one. Number two, what actual skills did they get? Okay, and as far as what I understand, okay, the kids don't learn any real life skills. I think the real life skills are learned through failing, going out there and failing. That's the only way you really learn.
Yeah.
And so are you learning number one, how to make money, right? Communication is number one, the most important thing. Communication. Number two is making the money. Number three is living beneath your means. Whatever you make, you need to live beneath it so you can save some of that money and invest it. Because once you invest your money, I call your money your soldiers, right? There's only so much money you can make off your own shoulders. So when you make your money, and it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money that don't keep any of the money, but they don't teach you any of this stuff in school. They don't teach you how to invest. They don't teach you. I want to know what are you learning in school other than this crap like, oh yeah, I took 4 years of Brit Lit. What was Brit Lit? What does that mean?
An American Lit and like the periodic table, calculus, I mean, unless you're going to be like an astrophysicist or something like that, I don't see a lot of everyday people referring back to calculus. And why can't you learn these things when you go into that field? Now, the other side of the coin here is people are going to say, well, we need the gen eds, the general electives, the first 2 years of college generally, so someone could get an idea of what they want to major in, what they want to do. And they could even say that with your junior year when you're in high school, when supposedly you're starting to think about what college you want to go to. So they're going to say, well, these are classes that we want the students to take so they could try to focus in on what they want to do. Not necessarily buying that, but that's the other side of the spectrum here. That's what they're going to say. Personally, I think gen eds are a waste of time and money. I think colleges, I agree with you on that. So and it's a lot of money. And how long does it take? Someone who goes to college and spends, say, $100,000, how many years is it going to take to pay back those loans?
Well, with all that interest too, plus the higher level college, the more indoctrination's going on. I don't know if you've read any stories about like Harvard and that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like those used to be where you wanted to go because you made these connections. Well, what I've come to realize is you go to those schools, you make all of these liberal connections, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the money is right now, but it's really about supporting an agenda, right? And it's really about indoctrination, right? To twist your mind around so you think like they think, okay? And so, you go to a college like that, obviously you're going to have connections, obviously you're going to have money, but you're going to be all twisted up. I think any of the schools really do twist you up unless you really go in to that college. I mean, there's people that can come in and out of college and get a lot out of it. And I think a lot of it's got to do with well-rounding parenting, right? You really should be from, a family where you have a mother and a father. Yeah. And they take care of you and they keep your morals intact and they keep you online. And you're going to school because you want to go to school, not because you think you need to go to school. And a lot of these kids go to school, and I don't know how old they are when they get out. Let's call it 23 years old. They come out and they're unemployable because they don't have any skills and they really don't have any knowledge.
Life skills. That's what they lack.
Right.
It all goes.
Right. It all goes back to work ethic, right? Like they said, the hardworking guy that can only go so far. Well, then it went to education, and back in my day, some people went to college, not all, and I went to college prep, high school. So everyone thought I'd go to college. I couldn't wait to get out of college because I wanted to start working, start making some money, and start having some fun.
So do you think the trades are a way to go these days?
The trades,
seems like the stats are going that way.
So I'm gonna, and these are all my opinions. Yeah. But years ago, let's just say that somebody that just got a job, let's say in the trades. Let's just say they made $50,000, and let's just say that somebody went to college and made $100,000. Let's just say that was the math, okay? Let's just say now everyone goes to college, even people that shouldn't go to college. They have no interest in college. They're only interested in, like I said, drinking, screwing, doing some drugs, trying out all this bullshit, all right, and being away from their parents, being unparented for 4 years. Yeah. So then they get out of college. And they're unemployable because they think they're worth all this money and they're not even worth minimum wage. Okay, so now you got these people. Now these trades are starving for skilled people because everyone went to college and everyone was told that trades were beneath them, right? Yeah. So a lot of these trades now are on or above $100,000, and a lot of these kids that go to school, their pay rate is like $50,000. So the tables have completely turned, and the potential to get these jobs, these trades jobs, is very high because there's not a lot of people going for it. So they got rid of all the trades in the high schools. I mean, they stopped pushing the trades thing for a long time. In the last 2 years, they started ramping it up a little bit more.
And you learn a life skill that you'll always have. Companies will go out of business. Companies will change hands. You could get let go if you get a new boss, new CEO. But when you learn a trade, you have a skill, plumbing, painting, construction. No one could take that away from you. You will always be able to make money, right?
You're always employable, number one. Let's just say auto mechanic, right? Because there's not too many auto mechanics anymore, okay? Everybody I know that owns an auto mechanic shop, because I know a lot of business owners, they all say the same thing. They took away the reward for working hard, and a lot of these guys are going to go out of business. So who's going to work on these cars? Okay, and so even if, let's just say, your boy went to school, or he decided he's not going to school, he's just going to go and he's going to work. He's gonna learn how to be an auto mechanic, right? And it's tough work. I know that. But even if he decides, hey, you know what, this is not the job for me. Okay. Yeah. He's going to come out and he's going to know not only how to fix his car, okay, so he could actually maintain his own vehicles, but even if he doesn't want to do it, he's not going to take it to a place and be taken advantage of. Oh, you need a new transmission.
Right.
Well, what's the transmission have to do with me steering? You know what I mean?
He learned a life skill that wouldn't have been taught in the university.
Exactly. And I'll give you my experience on college real quick. I went to a junior college for 1 semester, okay? And I was working. And when I go to school, I was so tired. And believe it or not, I went for auto, to be an auto mechanic, right? Mm-hmm. So I went in there because I was a gearhead when I was younger. And when I went to that school, it was right when they started implementing fuel injection. There was a lot more electronics were getting involved in these engines. And I couldn't understand auto electricity that well. Anyways, the best takeaway from me going to that semester at that junior college was I do not want to be an auto mechanic, and I do not want to own an auto mechanic shop. But the skill is I'll be able to either fix my own car if I get broke down on the road. Yeah. I'll be able to know what needs maintenance. So if I brought it in, I could tell them, hey, you know what, the alternator's going out or whatever. So like you said, life skill.
You get a basic understanding of something that's going to benefit you and your family for the rest of your lives. And just like in high school, and I think this BS starts in high school, like home ec, which I never took. But from what I've seen, they're teaching the girls how to cook, how to bake. That's just crazy. We need courses starting in high school of how to apply for a mortgage, how to refinance a mortgage, how to finance a car, how to get a better rate, how to use a rate calculator, stuff like how to invest in the stock market, how to invest in savings so you could retire, what's going on with 401ks and pensions and stuff like that. Those are the skills that they should be teaching these kids, not American literature, British literature, something like that. Other than teaching, what is Brit Lit and American Lit going to do for you? You want to be a writer? You want to be a teacher? Okay, maybe. But what skill is that going to go? When are you going to use it? When are you going to fall back and use Brit Lit?
Yeah, it's the whole thing, even the math stuff, okay? A lot of people believe in the math stuff. And people say, because I do a lot of estimations, a lot of people say, trigonometry, geometry is probably the best one. What's the one you get in freshman year?
There's calculus. There's algebra.
Algebra. Okay, I have no idea how you add or subtract letters from numbers. It makes no fucking sense to me. People are like, "Well, you do this all the time because you do a lot of estimations," and I'm like, I have no idea what a letter. He goes, "Oh, yeah,
that's basic math. That
doesn't make any fucking sense to me." So how I look at it is it's logic, right? I mean, it's logic to me is math, not letters and numbers mixed together and all these, rules and laws and all this other stuff. I think it's just confusing. So I don't even believe in the math system that they have. And now, because I had kids that recently went through school, I realized that the math, they had this thing called Common Core math when they were in grade school. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm really good at math, and I have no idea what this means. And so I said, are they in the business of teaching children or confusing children? Okay,
that's a great question, especially in the high school level.
And so honestly, my take on it, and everyone's going to hate me for this one, and that's fine because a lot of people are educated, is you come out of school dumber than you went into school. Okay. And it's not all people, but it's most people, because you know what it is they teach you stuff, and then you believe that you know more than everybody else, and you don't. It's information that is not pertinent in life. So you think that you're smarter, and you're not. You're actually dumber because you're so glued to your belief system.
Well, okay, so you come out of school dumber. Okay, I could see a point to that. Yes. But
We're
would
indoctrinated.
you say you come out of school dumber because you lacked the schooling and the education that you needed for life skills? Like those years, those months, those weeks, those semesters could have been used to teach you something that will help you in the future. So you're coming out of this 4 years of college going, well, okay, when am I going to go back on this? When am I going to go back on, the history of English and stuff like that? So to an extent, I believe you, but maybe it could be worded differently.
Well,
I still agree you come out dumber. You definitely come out less informed.
Okay, and I agree with what you said. Yeah, you could have been using your time to actually build yourself up. Okay,
Right.
I agree with that. But I also agree with indoctrination is to get you to believe a certain way, right?
Yeah.
It's to get you to think a certain way, but it's also to get you to know a certain way. And once you know something, you can't be varied from what you know. And sometimes the things that you know are things you shouldn't know, right? And it's kind of like knowing that, Black Lives Matter supports black people, okay? It doesn't. It's the opposite. So a lot of these belief systems that are put into play are nothing more than an indoctrination that make you know a different way. And so and that's why a lot of these people will argue with you. A lot of these people that go to school, not all, but a lot of people that go to school are, especially, in the younger generations, are very liberal. A lot. Not all, but a lot. And it's because of the indoctrination that they've been, subjected to for 12 years. And brainwashing doesn't happen overnight.
Well, it's like you said, you came out of that semester definitely knowing more than you did when you went in, because you came out knowing you don't want to be an auto mechanic.
Right.
You know that's what you don't want to do. And that's all going back to tie into the life skills, stuff that you could use. When I was in school, when I was in grammar school, we were not allowed to have calculators. We weren't allowed to use them. We couldn't even have them in the classroom, Mm-hmm. Couldn't have them in the classroom. And the problem with that now is that when it came time to use a calculator, I had to look at the thing and go, wait, what does this button do? What does that do? What does this do? I mean, add, subtract, divide, I get it. But all those other functions, I have no idea, because we weren't allowed to have them in school. We weren't allowed to have them, weren't allowed to use them, so we didn't learn them. But that is one skill that we probably should have been taught from when we get out. Because as an adult, you're always going to have look at us now with our phones. We always have calculators with us. That's a life skill we should have been taught.
Well, yeah, it's critical and creative thinking, right? Like years ago, if you went to school and let's say you had to do math problems, right? And whatever it was, 4 plus 4, okay, it's 8, or 4 times 4, okay, it's 16, whatever. But you had a way to get to it. But as time went on, it wasn't about getting the correct answer. It was about following the correct way, the correct path. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. My boy, when he was in high school, they had some kind of math thing and he had to do it. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what they're looking for. So he got the correct answer, right? Because the kid was like a mathematician. He got the correct answer, put the answer down, right? He got all correct answers. He got an F on the paper. And then it said, you did not show your work, right? So he goes to the teacher. He figures out what the work he needs to do. So he does the work, and now he's more confused. He doesn't know what the fucking answer is because he had to do all of this fucking bullshit. And he comes up with the wrong answer. Did it all the work like they told him and came up with the wrong answers, okay? He got an A. He got an A. And you know why? Because he followed directions. Not because he got the right answer, but because he followed directions, which means they do not want critical or creative thought. Okay? They want you to follow their program, and that's it. And that's really what it boils down to when it's about agenda-based, okay? And it's about and it's about indoctrination. You think like I want you to think, okay? Yeah. Not like you can't think. Where I'm the opposite. In my own businesses, I'm like, if you got a great idea or if you have a better way to get to the end result, let's hear it. Let's see it. If it works, you know what I mean? Let's implement it. If it works, we're all over it. If it doesn't work, then we chuck it in the garbage. But it's about creative thought
and trial and error. right?
Exactly. And the only way you can succeed in life is through failure. And if you never fail, you're never going to succeed. But if you're trying to learn by doing it somebody else's way, you're not going to learn. You're just going to follow a pattern. And what you find out is usually the A students nowadays are the ones that follow. And the ones that follow usually wind up being the most indoctrinated people. Okay? And so the ones with the A's, typically, they buy in all of this, social justice and all of this, the gender and everything else. And the ones that get that either just skate by with a C or whatever they got to do, those are the ones that are the creative thinkers. My boy in high school, he figured out, after the coronavirus, he figured out how to do the online stuff because he could play his video games. He wasn't interested in all the nonsense. So he figured out how to do it. And I go, dude, how you getting all these A's? He's like, well, I built a bot to do my homework and my tests. I'm like, okay. And I said, well, I'll be honest with you. If I'm hiring, do I want somebody that gets A's or somebody that got A's because they built a bot that did all the work? I said, I'm going to want the guy that built the bot.
Yeah,
I'm going to want somebody that has some creative thought. Anyways, he finished 4 years of high school in 2.5 years. And so he did it because he was able to do it, the majority of the stuff online, because he learned in coronavirus that he doesn't want to go to school and listen to all this nonsense. So go ahead.
Okay. What about someone who says to you, someone who's a manager at a corporation for a big company that says, I like to interview people that have college degrees because I know that they have discipline. They know how to follow directions. They know how to take a class, learn from it, and apply them what they learned to do it. How about someone who says that? Well, if you obtained a degree and went to college, I know you're a responsible person and you know how to get down and get to work and not let all this other side stuff, drinking and, like you said, screwing and stuff, to get in your way. So what did you think about that? Because it would be probably a legitimate argument against what me and you are saying.
That absolutely is a legitimate argument because in corporation, right, they want you to follow what they tell you to do. And that's why a lot of these corporate people are very liberal. Okay, they want you to follow. People that follow. Shots. You need 17 more boosters. You can't go to the concert. We will get 17 more boosters. Like, they want people to fucking follow. Those are the liberal people. And in corporation, and when I say people go to college and they come out and really all they are is a cog in a wheel. So let's just say you go in 4 years of whatever, business administration, whatever, and you come out and you make $100,000, and then let's say I'm the boss and I raise you up to the next level, and before you know it, you're middle management and you're making, $700,000 a year or whatever, and you're a big wig. Well, you're a cog in the wheel. You got to work 30 years. You got to put together your pension. You can only take X amount of vacation days. You are not running your life on your rules, right? You're running by somebody else's rules. You have to pay 30% tax before expense, okay? And you got to go by all these rules. You got to pay so much money into this, and you got to, so you're going by the rule book, okay? Now, let's just say you're a schmuck like me, and you say, okay, you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't want to spend 4 years in fucking college. I want to spend 4 years, making money. I want to spend 4 years enjoying my life, and I want to spend 4 years, making mistakes, creating success. You don't realize that when you're younger, but 4 years, you get one hell of a lot of smelling salt out of life than the guy that goes to college that's been coddled with all of this. We got to follow this, we got to follow that. So you're creating your own path. And I'll be honest with you, me and my own business, I don't think I would hire somebody that has college education because they are not creative in thought. And that's very important to me. They are not a critical thinker. I want somebody that says, you know what, Don? There's more than one way to skin a cat. And what you just told me is your way to skin a cat. And what I'm going to tell you is my way of skinning a cat. And that's the type of people that I like around me. I want people that can think for themselves, not like, what should I say? What do you want me to think? What do you want me to do?
I have a question for you then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think somebody who wants to be a doctor, wants to be a lawyer, should they not have to go through the whole 4 years of college and just go right to medical school, go right to law school to start learning? Because I bring up my experience. I went to college, took criminology, criminal justice, went to a 2-year college, went to a 4-year college. I did not learn anything about police work until maybe a little in the academy, till I got out of the academy and started working. That's when I really started to learn police work. So
Hands
what
up.
do you think? Do you think these people should just go right to law school, right to medical school?
You need to have programs, right? So you need to have programs. Obviously, you need to have there has to be some theory, right, for you to get interested in and understand a little bit, right? You want to get into whatever. You want to be an accountant. You want to be a policeman. You want to do this. You want to do that. You need to have classes that teach you solely how to do that, okay? But I think if there's a general education that you need to learn, it needs to be on how to be successful in life, how to survive in life, how to make money.
So you're saying 4 years of college to learn life skills, or 2 years of college to learn life skills?
I don't even think those should be in college. I think those should be in high school.
Okay, that's
I
great.
think college should be nothing more than, if you want to be just like trade school, right? You want to be a plumber, okay? You got to take 2 weeks of sweat and pipe, 2 weeks of this, 2 weeks of that, bending sheet metal, whatever stuff that they got, right?
Yeah.
Show them how to do it, and then give them a week of theory, and then put them in the shop and show them how to do it, right?
So bypass 4 years of the university and go right to it.
I think honestly, 6 months of theory and 6 months of shop and anything is gonna give you what you need, and then the rest is you gotta learn. You gotta learn when you get in the field.
I think part of going to law school and medical school the first year, you're going to do a lot of book work. You're going to do a lot of classroom to learn. And then you start getting into practicals and stuff like that. So that stage is already there for you. So you're going to have that I forget what you just called it, that 6 month of learning. They already do that for you, like the first year. It's like hockey. The first time you join a hockey team, they say, hey, we're not doing ice today. We're going to learn, the basics of the sport, and then we'll get on the ice and start putting them to use. So do you think with medical school, law school, and those are the two I'm falling back on, the only two I could think of right now, but because that first year, and I don't know, I haven't been to medical school, I haven't been to law school, but do you think that first year, that first 6 months of sitting there and opening a book and being taught about the field you're going into is sufficient to doing that job and bypassing the 4 years of the university? That's what you think, right?
I think that you need more hands-on than you do theory.
I do too. Okay.
And so I've owned a business for 40 years. I'm not going to talk about that, but these guys that went to these trade schools, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know how to do this." When I used to work in the field with the crews, and I said, in theory that makes sense. It completely makes sense. But here in the field, it doesn't work. And here's what you do. Right. And so I would show things that they would not teach you there that they didn't even know about that actually worked in the field. Okay. It's kind of like,
that's for a lot of things, actually.
Police work, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the stuff that they teach you, it's merely indoctrination. They put together a theory and then they try and press that theory on you, and it doesn't always work. And it's not, and it might work in certain time frames, but in other applications, it doesn't work. Just like a surgery is not going to work on every single person, the same surgery. So it really boils down to that. So, and you talk about the police work. What was funny about the police work, my dad was a policeman for, I don't know how many years, 35 years. Mm-hmm. He's passed. But anyways, he said to me, he worked for the Chicago police. He said, they were going to start having police need 4 years or I think it was 2 years of.
It started with two. Then
2 years of college.
Right.
He goes, and he goes, there went all the good policemen. You're going to have a bunch of educated idiots that don't know how to solve a crime, and they're worthless. And you don't want one of these guys, working with you because you put yourself in danger if you're working in a dangerous neighborhood. Anyway, right. So he said he told me a long time ago. He goes, once they put education in there, He goes, you needed the street smarts guys. You needed a guy that maybe didn't even have a high school education, but he lived in the streets. Like he knew what was going on.
That's where you learn. That's where you really learn the job.
Yeah.
Like we said.
Yeah, and so do you need policemen to be educated? No. You want a policeman that's not educated in school. You want a policeman that's educated in logic, right? And what works and what doesn't work.
Street smarts was everything. And we can go on this for a while, but we're down to our final minute here, up against the clock once again, believe it or not, another show that goes by quick. I think we're going to have to readdress this in a future show because I think there's so much more we could talk about. We didn't even scratch the surface of this, and I have a feeling this episode's going to bring in a lot of emails and a lot of comments, and I think a lot of people are going to have a lot to say, and I'm interested in hearing all that. And if you want to email us, it's straightupdonhanston@gmail.com. Please give us an email. Let us know what we're doing right, but more importantly, let us know what we're doing wrong. I want to know, especially if you disagree with us. Don't forget to visit our website. It's straightupdonhanstonshow.com. Make sure you check that out, and definitely the podcast. You could find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Rumble, iHeartRadio, and of course YouTube. And we welcome comments and everything like that. And I want to remind you, hit that like button. It really helps us out. Hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified every time we post a new show. We got a lot of new shows lined up for you this summer. I want to thank you for joining us, and the next show will be coming up soon. Not really sure what we're going to be talking about, but probably I have a feeling we're going to be talking about RFK and these vaccines and autism, stuff like that we're going to hit. So make sure you stay with us, and thank you for joining us on Straight Up, the Don Hanston Show.
Thank you, everybody.